Welcome, dear visitors. We are in Sucha Beskidzka, a county town at the foot of Babia Góra. My name is Andrzej Peć. I am the manager of the Sucha Beskidzka Municipal Museum. Welcome to the city's castle, often dubbed Small Wawel. Our castle is known as the Small Wawel due to its Renaissance character. Its history is inseparably linked with that of the town and with the noble families who resided here. Although the first mention of Sucha Beskidzka dates back to 1405, the origins of the castle are tied to Kasper Gastilion of Krakow's Słotniki, who purchased this land in 1554 and raised its first tower. It is likely that an earlier manor stood here, built partly of stone and wood, but no record survived to tell us its form or structure. Kasper Gastilion himself took the name Kasper Suski, inspired by the land he acquired. Yet his line did not flourish. His sons lacked their father's ability to multiply wealth. Within a single generation, their fortune was spent. The estate passed, through pledge, to Piotr Komorowski, who built the Renaissance castle we admire today. Presently, the castle houses the Sucha Beskidzka Municipal Museum, the University College of Tourism and Ecology, as well as the Kasper Suski restaurant and hotel. On the castle grounds, visitors may also discover a beautiful neo-Gothic orangery, home now to a stunning cafe.
This is the wing that once held the Branitki family library and museum collections, what might be called today a modern museum. The library itself was founded in 1866 by Count Alexander Branicki. Within its halls were not only vast collections of books and rare prints, but also treasures of archaeology, particularly from Egypt. Count Alexander Branicki was the first amateur archaeologist, and in a sense, the first Egyptologist of Poland. He organized exhibitions to Egypt, Sudan, Jerusalem, and Turkey. From what we know, he unearthed at least 3 sarcophagi. Among the precious items once displayed here was even a fragment of the Book of the Dead, inscribed on papyrus. Today, the museum draws upon the heritage of the Branicki library.
We are now by the Archaeological exhibition. This exhibition is of particular importance to us, for it connects directly with the Branitki collections. At this moment, we are in the room that serves above all as an educational hall. In it, we display objects recovered during archaeological excavations of the Świnna Poręba reservoir, today known as Lake Mucharskie. These finds reveal that people lived in this region as early as the Neolithic and Paleolithic periods, hunting and moving through these lands. Among our treasures are extensive collections of stone tools from those ages. Flint tools in particular form an exceptional display, rarely seen in such richness in a small regional museum. One of our most valuable holdings is a treasure. This treasure consists of bronze jewelry dating back 600 years before Christ. It includes necklaces and bracelets crafted by only 2 techniques: wire twisting and hammering. A clasp, likely from an outer garment, completes the set. This was female jewelry, a testament that even in those distant times, women adorned themselves and cared for appearance. We display it in 2 forms: fully restored to its original brilliance and left with patina and deposits, so that visitors may fully grasp the passage of centuries. Our collection extends beyond Paleolithic and Neolithic tools. It also covers the Iron Age, with ceramic vessels, many linked to cremation burials. Among the most precious finds are 3 glass beads, unearthed during excavations. At that time, glass was not produced locally. These beads must have been obtained through trade, evidence that commerce already reached these lands. They may have been exchanged for iron ore, abundant here, or perhaps for amber, as the famed amber route passed nearby.
Moving on to the residential wing of the Sucha Castle, home today to the Sucha Beskidzka Municipal Museum and its exhibitions. This is a temporary exhibition devoted to the cinemas of Sucha Beskidzka. Here presented are both the figures connected with the world of film, among them Billy Wilder, born in Sucha Beskidzka, who spent his early childhood here, as well as objects tied to cinematic projection, such as a 1962 film projector. In the adjoining hall lies the collection of Emil and Maria Zakadłowicz, a precious gift to the museums from Gorzeń, which includes works of interwar painting. Within this collection are works by Wyczółkowski, Rzechowski and Mechofer. All can be admired within this section of the exhibition. Opposite, one finds the Habsburg collection. The Habsburg collection contains examples of early modern painting, alongside both edged weapons and firearms associated with hunting. Among its most remarkable items are two ceremonial chairs from the Kingdom of Spain. At that time, nearly every European monarchy was bound by kinship to the Habsburg dynasty. Thus, such treasures find a place here. Among the most valuable are a gold-woven belt and a pair of silver armlets. And here lies a fascinating detail. For in just such a belt and armlets, noblemen of the era would set out on hunts. Now entering the Knight's Hall, the largest chamber of the castle, once also known as the Marshal's Hall. It witnessed the great events of both the castle and its noble families, as well as of Sucha Beskidzka itself. Balls and family celebrations were held in this very room. It was also a place where guests were welcomed and artistic life thrived. Concerts and performances took place within these very walls. To this day, the tradition continues. Concerts and significant municipal events are still held here. The portraits of the castle's successive owners are also displayed. The first depicts Kasper Suski, or Gaspare Castiglione, a goldsmith from Kraków. His family hailed from Italy, from the town of Castiglione. His father had even worked on the construction of Wawel Castle, a man of great wealth and influence. He held the privilege of brickmaking and enjoyed high standing as a goldsmith. The only thing lacking was noble status, which he eventually received, though he had already purchased the Sucha estate beforehand. Piotr Komorowski became master of the Sucha estate in 1608. Powerful and accomplished magnate, he not only established ironworks but also brought the canons regular of the Lateran to Sucha, creating the parish here. His story is marked by legend. He suffered from an affliction of the eye and rode on horseback to Kraków to the Corpus Christi church to pray for healing. He is said to have received miraculous healing, recognized by the church in the early 21st century as a true miracle. Jan Wielkopolski, a man of great stature in Polish history, serving in modern terms as the king's prime minister, took control. For over 2 centuries, The Wielkopolskis ruled here, shaping what came to be known as the Sucha state. Yet fortunes change, and by the early 19th century decline set in. The estate passed to Count Alexander Branitki, whose portrait concludes this series. He was a significant figure, founder of the Branicki library, and notably one of the first photographers in Poland, owner of the country's first camera. In the 1850s, he photographed not only his own family, but also scenes of Warsaw. Among the most remarkable features of the Knight's Hall is its sandstone fireplace. Though experts insist sandstone is unsuited to such a purpose, this grand hearth, built in 1616, remains in use to this very day. It takes the form of a Roman triumphal arch, a deliberate symbol proclaiming to all who entered that the family was powerful, noble, and wealthy. The decorations are rich in meaning. The first cartouche bears the inscription of Piotr Komorowski, Count of Liptov and Orava, Starost of Oświęcim. It functioned much like a modern business card, immediately declaring the visitors the stature of their host. Among the ornamentation lies a particularly interesting motif. Between the cartouches is a figure resembling a newborn child. Art historians believe this may reflect Aztec-inspired decoration. Intriguing parallels may be drawn with Nijica, where legends tell of an Incan treasure, while here we find echoes of Aztec design. We now move on to a temporary exhibition devoted to daily life of Sucha Beskidzka before 1939. This exhibition recreates domestic interiors, a burgher's home, a Jewish family dwelling, and a highland cottage, for we are, after all, in the Babia Góra highlands, in the mountains. The display is completed with the reconstruction of a pharmacy and a store from that era. All the objects found here are tied to the history of Sucha Beskidzka and originate from this very place. They allow us to get a glimpse into what everyday life once looked like, the tools, the household items of the past. The newest temporary exhibition is devoted to Zofia Karash, known as the strong woman of Sucha Beskidzka. She was a physician who, before the Second World War, served here as the town doctor on behalf of the Social Insurance Institution. A remarkable and significant figure. Her story captivates not only those interested in medicine, but also admirers of literature, particularly journaling. Before the war, she wrote a memoir, encouraged by a nationwide competition for physicians' diaries. The celebrated Polish writer Melchior Wańkowicz recognized her talent, calling her one of the greatest discoveries. That memoir remains truly extraordinary. Proof of its impact lies in the fact that it went through several editions before the outbreak of the war. In her writing, what stands out is her unflinching realism, a candid portrayal of a society plagued by superstition and the absence of medical hygiene. She fought tirelessly against these obstacles, bringing medical knowledge under the thatched roofs. Her style was plain-spoken, even blunt, which earned her criticism from parts of the medical community. Yet, her words revealed how difficult it was to challenge stereotypes and to practice medicine in this region. These memoirs were republished after the war, but hers is also a tragic story. When the Second World War erupted, Zofia Karash was a highly educated woman. She had studied medicine in Poznań, worked in hospitals in Berlin, and mastered the German language. Beyond her medical expertise, she possessed deep humanistic knowledge, reading authors such as Schiller in the original. During the war, she aided partisans and extended her help to the Jewish community, even sending medicines into the Auschwitz camp. Her clandestine efforts did not go unnoticed. When the Gestapo came to her home, she chose to take her own life rather than risk betraying those she had aided and worked alongside. Testimonies suggest her suicide was an act of sacrifice, a final shield of silence to protect others. And so, we urge visitors to remember her, the strong woman of Sucha Beskidzka, a name she fully deserves. But like every castle, ours too has its ghost. This spectral resident is said to have dwelled in our castle the longest, her story stretching back to the turn of the 17th and 18th centuries. She was a woman of formidable character, whose household sighed in relief upon her death, believing they were finally free of her presence. Yet each evening, she said to return, a presence still felt to this very day. We invite all to come and meet our ghost. During our night tours, we assure you she appears. Historical accounts tell us that even when the Branitki family hosted friends and relatives here, they warned their guests, the ghost will appear, she must be greeted and honored. Only then would no harm befall anyone. Her story, a colorful one, begins with a forbidden love, a passion for Jan Kazimierz, son of Jan Wielkopolski, a man said to be frail in both health and appearance. She herself was strikingly beautiful, hailing from the princely family of the Lubomirskis. According to legend, she pulled Jan Kazimierz away from his vows at the last moment. They married and had a son, yet her desires and passions were boundless. To sustain them, she gave her husband an aphrodisiac, a soup made of viper, but the potion proved fatal. Within 2 years, his heart gave out, leaving her a widow. Soon she turned her affection toward Stanisław Małachowski, the starost of Poznań. But he too failed to meet her expectations, preferring wine to company. Fate, or perhaps her hand, played a part in his tragic fall from a horse. Widowed once more, she became a figure of legend. She appears in the castle clad, either in white or in black. Twice married, twice bereaved, her apparition reflects her fate. In white, she is a danger to man. In black, she brings no harm. She was, however, more than a figure of scandal. She codified laws, ruled with an iron hand, expelled brigands, some of whom she is said to have loved. She managed vast estates with rare competence, no small feat for a woman of her era. Proceeding to the castle chapel dedicated to Saints Peter and Paul, built by Piotr Komorowski. To this day, it serves as a sacred space, its most striking feature the polychrome paintings. Though completed in the 17th century, they imitate medieval style depicting the liturgy in images, a liturgia pauperum or liturgy of the poor. At a time when Mass was conducted in Latin, a language inaccessible to many, these paintings guided worshippers through the sacred rites. Above them once stretched scenes from the life of Christ. Sadly, those scenes have survived only in fragments. Interestingly, the polychromes were painted high enough to prevent them from being defaced by hand. Decorative textile motifs complete this extraordinary ensemble.
But the Suski Castle is not only a Renaissance structure, it is part of a larger architectural and park complex. One of its jewels is the neo-Gothic Orangery. In Lesser Poland, neo-Gothic architecture is rare, which adds to its value. Beautifully restored and reopened only a year ago, it stands as a model of how heritage can be revitalized for both locals and visitors alike. Inside the Orangery, one finds both a cafe and a bowling alley, with its original greenhouse function remaining intact too. Exotic plants once collected by Count Alexander Branitki during his voyages are displayed here. He initiated the Orangery's construction and brought back citrus trees, known locally as cytrynaty. The fruits grew in abundance, enough to be taken to Cracov's markets for sale. No one would travel with only 5 lemons or oranges. This shows how well the Orangery was managed. Today, it draws both tourists and locals, young and old. The building has regained its life, a fine example of how local authorities can restore monuments and grant them new functions, fostering a living connection with both architecture and nature. The castle park, originally designed in the French style, now reflects the English landscape tradition, traces of its earlier form still visible in the paths. It enjoys great popularity throughout the year. Recently, a graduation tower was added, enriching the park's attractions and encouraging even more visitors to come. This oasis, nestled in the very heart of the town, delights visitors who often discover Sucha Beskidzka for the first time through it. And so we invite you. Come to the Orangery, enjoy a coffee, a slice of cake, and immerse yourself in the marriage of architecture and exotic greenery.